Welcome, Ultimate DIYers. Today I'm going to talk about the pneumatic nailer and kind of cover the compressor a little bit. But as I talk to homeowners, the biggest thing that I find is people are generally really afraid of pneumatic nailers. Now, granted, it is a dangerous tool if you don't know what you're doing, but with a little bit of care, I think anybody can operate one and do it safely. So let's start out by looking at the compressor in more of a close-up. Okay, your basic compressors that you're going to buy are usually a Pancake type compressor like this one, something small that you can carry around on a job site or keep in your garage at home. This one happens to have two connectors for hooking up two lines at the same time. It has your gauge, the pressure that's in the tank, and the gauge that shows the pressure in the tool. Now, one of the things to keep in mind, by the way, is the cord. The longer your cord is and the smaller your cord, the more amperage that this compressor is going to pull, and it's going to cause you problems. So you want to get the biggest cord you can get when you're buying cords. I actually use one that's quite a bit bigger than this. I believe they call it the Big Dog or something like that, but it was like 120 bucks for a 50-foot roll of it. I have 2 or 3 of those actually. Those are what I'll generally use on a job site. I wanted to hook this up quickly just to give you an idea. One other quick thing on the compressor, these type like this that you carry in a job site do not usually have dryers on them. Big compressors in like auto mechanic shops, paint booths, things like that, they have a dryer which keeps the moisture out of the tank so it isn't coming out in your tools. So there's a couple things you need to do to protect your tools. And one of them is put 3 drops of oil in your tools each time you go to use them, and I'll show you that in a minute when we get into the tools. The other is you have a drain plug at the bottom of your compressor. Now I have power hooked to this so it'll push it out, and I purposely left this thing full of water to kind of give you an idea of what it looks like. But you will open it up and you'll let the water out. So, of course, you do have the on and off switch, which I just turned off so you can hear me, but you will let the water out every time you use it so the water doesn't build up inside and so it doesn't damage the tools. The other thing that you're going to need is a good hose. They don't come usually with a hose. Some of them may, but they're going to be a cheap hose. I like these lightweight hoses. They're easy to pull around, easy to move, and I install quick connects so that you pull this back, take the male fitting, put it in to let it go, and it makes a connection. So if I'm putting it on the compressor, the male end goes into the compressor, and now it's on. So the next stage, and the thing we need to go through, is the actual tools themselves. So the couple of guns that I've got to show you today are basically a framing gun, and this is going to be not a trim, but well, it's trim on a house, but not interior trim, fencing, and siding gun. This one uses coiled nails, and they have little shanks on them to help hold. Super good gun. Love this. Use it a lot. Main framer. Now, you have a lot of different framers today. A lot of them, like this particular framer, works off of a 21.5 degree angled nail, meaning that angle is 21.5 degrees that you're looking at. They have some that are a lot closer to straight, which I believe Pass Load is one which is a very popular nail gun today. But on these guns, this one and this one, they're going to have settings. They're usually on a little knob right here, and you're going to set it to either rapid fire or you're going to set it to single fire. Most homeowners or people who are just learning to use these, I recommend single fire only. Boy, tongue twister today. So you'll set that. You have to pull the trigger, but that alone is not going to fire the nail gun. You have a safety mechanism here that has to be engaged, just like so. So when it's pushed all the way in and you pull that, now you can fire. So if I have it on single, I have to engage it, pull, and it's going to fire 1 round at a time. Now, if I have this set to rapid, I hold my trigger, and every time I pop it, it will shoot around. I don't have to keep pulling that trigger. Same thing works with this gun as well. The knob is right here. You set it. It has the same safety here. Single file fire, or hold it down and just keep firing. The other one that I'm going to show you is a palm nailer, which is going to fire just one at a time. No safety mechanism. You have to be extremely careful that you don't drive a nail through your hand. Okay, nailing the 2x4s together. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pretend like we're going to nail this together like on a job site, and I want it nailed like so. So I'm going to take it, trying to do this where you guys can see. Take it and I'm going to put it on and even it up, right like so. Now the big mistake is getting this thing too close to your hand. We want it away from us, and we want our hand away, because if that nail turns, you don't want it to come up and hit your hand. This has an engaging tool at the very top. When it's pushed in, it's ready to fire. And I'll go over that in a little bit more detail too, but I'm going to show you. So you fire, push down. On the bump mold, I hold the trigger down, and every time I bump it, it just automatically fires. So that I would recommend for somebody that's a little more seasoned and you're used to your pneumatic guns. Otherwise, I'd leave it on the single mode. Now, this is where you get in trouble, though. What happens is people, if you're familiar with firearms, you never have your finger on the trigger. You always walk with it off of the trigger. People who aren't real familiar with firearms or familiar with pneumatic guns, they tend to walk with their finger on that trigger. And what happens is if you bump somebody else or bump your leg, you're going to actually engage the safety, and you're going to fire around, and you're going to fire it into your leg. I tell you, the worst scenario I've actually seen is people coming off of roofs. They'll be coming down off a roof. Somebody's holding the ladder for them. They've got their finger on that trigger, and they bump someone's head down below them. And when they do that, and that hits and engages, now you've just shot a nail into someone's head. If he isn't dead, he's probably going to be in pretty serious condition and not feel too great, because they're going to have to go in and remove that nail out of his head. So all of them except for the palm nailer work very similar. I'll go ahead and load this up just to show you how this works, so I can show you the safety mechanisms here as well. But you will take this rung, make sure it's loose a little bit there. You take and you will put it inside the holder like so. Then you will string this all the way over. There's a little pin that fires out. You can see where it fires. You put the head of that nail right where that's going to be. Fold this over, and I just let it go, trying to show you in the camera, just like that. And then I clip this over in place. Now this is ready to fire. This has the same dial where you can set this to rapid fire or bump fire, whatever you want to call it, and single fire. Now people will set these on rapid fire a lot more often because they're using this for siding and they're moving quickly. Same thing when you're putting on fence pickets, you're moving quickly. So if you're holding that down and you accidentally, it has the same safety up here, bump into somebody. I see this happening with a roofing gun, because a roofing gun is made very similar to this. And people will be on a roof, they'll have that trigger pulled, and they'll bump their thigh and put a nail into their thigh, or nail themselves to the roof. You know, not a good day. So works the same way, and I'll kind of give you an idea of how this works. I go ahead and put it on, hold it up, and we fire the same way. Now I push it in, pull the trigger, push it in, pull the trigger, hold the trigger, and I can multi-fire very quickly. Now those didn't go all the way in because I have the compressor off and my air is a little low right now. But you can imagine if you bump into somebody, you've just shot them 2 or 3 times in the back or in the top of the head. Oh, a little hot out here today. So that is your main safety. Now, The other one I want to show you, and I'm going to do a close-up of this one, but it's the palm nailer. But a palm nailer shoots one nail only. I can get it out of here. Here we go. So it's going to shoot one nail, and this is what it looks like. And basically what it does is it has an engagement here. When this thing gets engaged, it starts firing the pin right here and pushing the nail in. This works great if I'm in an area that I have another piece of 2x4 or something in front of me and I can't get a big nail gun in there. I can slide this in, get it on, and drive the nail. So let's show you how it works. So I'm going to hook up my air. Now, when you put a nail in this, never face it back towards you. And always, when you take the nail, make sure that you are not holding the nail like this and putting it on. You're liable to drive the nail right through your hand. So you will take the nail, put it in sideways, just like this. Do not push, just set it in. Pick the spot that you want. Start your nail, and you notice my hands are away from it. And then actually, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to do it up here, like so. So now all I do is just push with the top just enough that you'll hear it start banging. Just like that, and it's in. Very simple. The biggest thing, like I said, is make sure you do not have the nail facing your hand when you put it into the holder, and then undo it. Okay, so hopefully you got something out of that. It's not very hard. Pneumatic tools aren't hard. You just have to respect them. It's just like dealing with a firearm. You have to respect them. You watch your finger, keep it off the trigger, make sure that the end of it is not facing you or anyone else. If you're coming down off of a ladder or something, make sure that you don't have it pointed down with your finger on that trigger. Matter of fact, I would disconnect the air line, then you don't have to worry about that at all. Then it can't hurt anyone. But a lot of times people get careless, get in a hurry, they get overconfident, and things happen. So hopefully you got something out of this today. If you did, be sure and subscribe if you haven't already. It really helps the channel. Be sure you hit that like button. Hit the notification bell so that you know about all of our next upcoming videos. And if you know a better way of handling a pneumatic gun, or if you have stories and things that have gone wrong that you think others should know, be sure and leave it in the comments. Other people would be glad to read it. I would be glad to read it. I try to respond to everything that I see that's posted as quickly as possible. But I do appreciate it, and I hope to see you guys the next time. Thanks for watching.